They will all be found guilty and condemned to die. But Jmmanuel said, "Don't be afraid. The time will soon come when Saul will receive a lesson regarding his evil thinking. He is already on the road to Damascus, following you and Judas Iscariot here now, in order to lead you back to Jerusalem in shackles. However, I will confront him before he reaches Damascus, and since he believes me dead, he will presume he is seeing a ghost." Jmmanuel set out to see a friend who was helpful to him in secret things that involved powders, salves and liquids that smelled bad. Well supplied with these things, he departed, leaving the city by way of the road to Galilee. A day's trip from Damascus, he waited for 2 days in the rocks and prepared his concoction. During the night he saw a large group of armed men coming, among them Saul, the persecutor of his disciples. When they were near, he struck a fire and tossed it into his concoction, thus producing a powerfully bright light that blinded the group. Jmmanuel continued stoking the flaring concoction, so that powerful flashes of light, stars and fireballs shot into the sky or fell from it. All this was accompanied by thundering booms and loud hissing sounds, as if from gigantic dragons and serpents. The thundering and booms subsided, as did the hissing. The blinding flashes and the multicolored fires died down, yet stinging smoke continued to cover the land and caused the group to cough and shed tears. Then Jmmanuel called out, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute my disciples?" But Saul was afraid and fell to the ground, crying out, "Who are you who speaks to me like this?" And Jmmanuel answered, saying, "I am Jmmanuel whom you persecute in your hatred, along with my disciples. Get up, go into the city and let yourself be taught how you should live." Saul was very afraid and said, "But you are the one who was crucified. So you are dead and must be speaking to me as a ghost." However, Jmmanuel did not answer him. He left and headed for Damascus. But the men who were Saul's companions stood still, petrified with fear, because they also believed they had heard a ghost. Saul got up from the ground and opened his eyes. However, he saw nothing because his eyes were blinded, for he had stared directly into the bright light Jmmanuel had generated. His companions then took him by the hand and led him to Damascus, and for 3 days he saw nothing, ate nothing and drank nothing. However, one of Jmmanuel's disciples came to Saul and preached to him the new teachings, and gradually he accepted them. But because of the events by the rocks, his mind was slightly confused. He misunderstood much and spoke incoherently. Somewhat confused in his mind, he went away and preached incoherent nonsense to the people. Jmmanuel, however, remained in Damascus another 30 days and made it known that he would be leaving the country and traveling to the land of India. His mother Mary came from Nazareth and set out on the road to the land of India with Jmmanuel, his brother Thomas, and Judas Iscariot. And Jmmanuel began to preach again and teach the people wherever he encountered them along the way and in any settlement he came to. There was a new strength within him and his teachings were more powerful than before. Chapter 34. Teaching about creation. Jmmanuel preached powerfully, saying, "Behold, creation stands above humanity, above God and above everything. It appears to be perfect by human comprehension, but this is not so. Since creation is spirit and thus lives, even it must forever perfect itself. But since it is one within itself, it can perfect itself by way of its own creations, through the generation of new spirit forms that dwell within humans, give them life, and evolve towards perfection through their learning. The newly generated spirit is part of creation itself. However, it is a knowing down to the smallest iota. When a new spirit is created, which is still unknowing in every way, it lives in a human body and begins to learn. Persons may consider the unknowing spirit as stupid and say that the individual is confused. But it is not, because it is only a knowing and devoid of knowledge and wisdom. Thus may this new spirit live a life within a human being in order to gather knowledge. Then, when this spirit enters the beyond, it is no longer as a knowing as it was at the time of its beginning. And it returns into the world and lives again as a human being, but is no longer quite as a knowing as it was at its beginning. Again it learns and gathers further knowledge and new wisdom, and thereby increasingly escapes from ignorance. So, after many renewed lives, the time comes when people say that this spirit is normal and not confused. But this is neither the end of the spirit nor its fulfillment, because, having become knowing, the spirit now seeks the greatest wisdom. Thus, the human spirit perfects itself so extensively that it unfolds in a creational manner and ultimately becomes one with creation, as it was destined from the earliest beginning. Thus, creation has brought forth a new spirit, allowing it to be perfected independently in the human body. The perfected spirit returns to creation to become one with it, and in this manner creation perfects itself within itself, for in it is the knowledge and wisdom to do so. Truly, I say to you, the time will never come when creation ceases to create new spirit forms and to broaden itself. However, creation also requires rest, a characteristic of all that lives, and when it slumbers it does not create. Just as human life has day and night and is divided into work and rest, so creation also has its times of work and rest. Its period, however, is different from that of people, because its laws are the laws of the spirit, while human laws are the laws of material life. The material life is limited, but the life of the spirit lasts forever and knows no end. Creation, however, is subject to the laws of primeval timelessness and primeval creation, which is the absolute absolutum and the beginning and endlessness of everything. And it was created out of itself. Absolute absolutum, most basic creational level or most basic absolutum level, respectively, of which there are 7. From the highest absolutum level down to the lowest the following sequence is valid, being absolutum, zohar absolutum, super absolutum, creative absolutum, central absolutum, or equals primal, original, prime, absolutum, and absolute absolutum. Out of the absolute absolutum the first creation form of the lowest kind was created, the material universe, the universal consciousness or universe in which we exist. This universe, universal consciousness, or creation form, respectively, which is the first and lowest of all 1049 creation forms, has created out of itself all creational energies, i.e. all spirit energies and spirit forms. It is therefore the creation of its own or source. The absolute absolutum is the idea-related procreative power only, out of which the lowest creation form, that is RDER universe, has come forth. Its secret is that which is immeasurable and is based on the number 7, which is counted in times. This is one of the secrets and laws the human mind will solve only when it reaches perfection. But let it be said that the laws of life are not hidden from the wise man, hence he can recognize and follow them.